So I was on a bus coming home when I stumbled across my track Ekspektasi, which I wrote in 2016 for the film Aperture, which is the very first film I successfully scored. Out of curiosity, I started to listen to the track, and little by little, a lot of old memories just started to pop up for me. When I got home, I immediately jumped into my computer and opened up the Ableton project. Okay, moment of truth. Of course, I didn't have any access to my old virtual instruments, but thankfully, I have the master recording that I did with my friends.
Aduh, garing
Falsnya
banget.
fals gila.
Iya, bos.
So just a little backstory about how we recorded this is we're using a Zoom recorder, which is like a handheld portable recorder. I didn't have any audio interfaces back then, so everything was recorded into this SD card. I need to get all the takes that I wanted, and I cannot really hear the takes until I unload the audio files from the SD card and then dragging it straight to my Ableton project.
3 and 4 and
Alah. Gue padahal udah mau bagus loh notnya.
Kenapa tiba-tiba
Iya.
ada minor blues?
Iya, salah gue.
I guess I was still a music theory nerd since 2016.
Hey, congrats.
Udah.
Dah.
Oke, yeay.
You know what's interesting about listening to all of this? Just listening to how I interact with my friends, how we all make mistakes, we all not professional at all, but we're still having a bunch of fun in a recording session. Like, that's beautiful. Also, I can load up the projects with the sound that I have now, so that's what I did. So a little background about myself during this time is I was primarily more of an orchestral composer. So when I was composing for this and I know that it needs an uplifting and pop score, I know that I'm going to use drums and bass and guitars on which I don't really have any experience arranging or writing for it. I remember spending like countless hours on YouTube learning how to make a drum groove, how to make a good drum fills, how to make a great bass line, and what can you do with the instrument. I remember being so proud about that particular drum fill. I spent maybe close to 2 days just trying stuff, experimenting. Okay, I did a little slide over there. I feel really cool about it back then, but now looking back at it, this is a very bad performance because everything was so on the grid. Doing a bass line for the first time, that's not like... So for the piano performance, I remember back then I just got my MIDI controller, but I didn't have an audio interface, which means the latency is really bad. Like there is close to half a second of latency, so I cannot really perform. The other thing that happened is my computer was egregiously slow, so I think I spent more time crashing and reloading than I do have time to compose and write and produce the music. For the final render, it took me 5 times to render because sometimes it just crashes mid-rendering. I didn't know how I managed to get it the 5th time, but that's what happened. After dissecting the Ableton Live project to its core, I started to see some behind-the-scenes pictures. So one of the fun things about this project is I was on set because I need to shoot using a camera and also did a little bit of cameo. Having a BTS photo of me being taken, that photo was my Facebook profile for quite some time. In that same folder that I found my picture, I also found an album art cover that I made. I was dreaming about distribution back then. I just felt like, oh, it would be so cool if I can have my music out on digital streaming platforms. While it didn't make it to any streaming platforms, I did upload it to my SoundCloud. Reflecting on my current situation, while I realized that my passion for creating is still there, sometimes adulthood just brings you challenges. Right now, even the simple computer crash, which only took 2 minutes of my time, can like lead me into an endless spiral of demotivation. Back then, I feel like I face much bigger inconveniences, but I continue to persevere because I want to create. I love to create, and I feel like I need to create. I encourage all creative individuals, whether you're a professional or you're just a hobbyist, to take some time and look at your old projects. It might be embarrassing, it might be cringe, but you might be able to rediscover the reason why you started creating in the first place. So I decided to recreate the track Expectasi using the original 2016 recording of my friends, and also the same arrangement as a love letter to my 15-year-old self. I completed this track without any computers crashing. I tracked the MIDI in real time, and seeing the album art cover that I made back in 2016 on streaming service, it's kind of unreal now, and it's safe to say that I'm living the dream and more.